Hi, and welcome to today's 4 Minute Mark. We are in Mark chapter 9, and we're going to read about the healing of the boy with the evil spirit. And maybe we won't get all the way through reading that and discussing that today. In fact, I'm sure we won't. But let's start at verse 14. When they came to the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them and the teachers of the law arguing with them. As soon as all the people saw Jesus, they were overwhelmed with wonder and ran to greet him. "What are you arguing with them about?" he asked. A man in the crowd answered, "Jesus, or teacher, I brought you my son who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not." "Oh, unbelieving generation," Jesus replied, "how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." So they brought him. When the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into a convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" "From childhood," he answered. "It has often thrown him into the fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us." "If you can," said Jesus. "Everything is possible for him who believes." Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, "I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief." When Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the evil spirit. "You deaf and mute spirit," he said, "I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." The spirit shrieked, convulsed him violently, and came out. The boy looked so much like a corpse that many said, "He's dead." But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. Jesus and the disciples come down from the mountain, and the crowd instantly realizes that the true star is in their midst. So they leave the disciples and the teachers of the law, and they run over to Jesus because the real star is here. Okay, it would be like, well, I'm wearing the shirt of Andrew Wiggins, who used to be on the Minnesota Timberwolves. It would be like bench warmers are in the Mall of America, and I'm talking to some of them because I'm excited to be with NBA players. But here comes Andrew Wiggins, and here comes Paul Anthony Towns. So long, bench players. I'm going to go get their autograph. Okay, Jesus comes down, and with awe and wonder, the crowd is like, "This is the one we've heard about, and this is the one we actually came to see." What was the crowd doing before Jesus came into their midst? Arguing. Says the disciples are arguing with the teachers of the law, and the crowd's kind of watching this and probably participating, because in those days, in the ancient world, the crowds participated in the arguments, just like today, the mob will yell things. So Jesus and the disciples come from a mountaintop experience to religious people arguing. And not only that, but there is a boy who is possessed by an evil spirit there. As I said before, when we talked about the transfiguration, the mountaintop experiences don't last. They're glimpses of heaven, and we are grateful for them. But God uses them to strengthen our faith so we can go out in the world and we can continue confronting the gates of hell. So after the mountaintop experiences, all people are arguing. And there's a man, whose boy is possessed by an evil spirit here. Now Jesus must confront once again the gates of hell. So the man says, "Teacher, I brought this boy to your disciples to be healed, but they couldn't do anything." And we'll look at Jesus' response, and we'll talk about why that is next week. Bye-bye.